by their number one pick from last year, Mason McTavish, and they picked Nathan Gaucher. I've heard good things about this kid, and I've heard he was like there was talk Montreal had spoken to him too for the late pick to see what they can get, but obviously they missed out.
And this is a Boston pick, so this must have been for who was the player they traded for with that pick?
Lindholm, Hampus Lindholm.
So this is significant. So it's Lindholm for this guy. So we'll see how Nathan Gaucher handles against him. Because that's how I compare the trades, right? I compare them based on who they traded for, right? Like that's what you're supposed to do. Like you trade a draft pick, so you're saying this guy for this guy. Okay, well, how did it work out?
And you'll never know if that trade works out until another 3 years. That's the problem.
Right. Exactly. So.
I didn't realize how small Pat Verbeek is.
He's not a big guy. He's not tall by any stretch. And I don't think he's very wide either. I think he's pretty small. Pretty small guy.
I'm going to be honest. He looks like a thinner penguin now with his how he's aged. Like Danny DeVito penguin.
Oh, Danny DeVito penguin? Okay.
Like he's got a pointy nose and like he looks really tiny next to everybody else.
Really? Yeah. So, anyway. So who's up next? We have St. Louis, the team of St. Louis. And this team won a few years ago, and now St. Louis is kind of, again, trying to find their way. A team that should have won or could compete, but now the Avalanche are too strong for them. So they're obviously going to have to go into an arms race now to try to keep up with the Avs, because the Avs are what's going to get in their way to a final again. So what would you do with St. Louis? Hard to say.
I'd look at goaltending. It didn't look. They're like Ville Husso is decent, but there's talk. And like he looked decent, but there's talk that he's going to walk away. There was talk that Toronto was interested in Husso, and there was talk that Montreal was interested in Husso.
Yes, yeah, there is. Toronto's looking at Husso because I think they're just doing that just to be, they're just trying to be kick the tires and make sure that they look at the guy so they don't want to miss out on anything. But I don't think they're going to sign him. I could see Husso in Buffalo. That's where I see him if they don't get Jack Campbell. So that's possible too. But I don't know. We're going to see. St. Louis is a bit of a wild card. They're a team that could really make a push, maybe make a few moves, and they're right back in it again for another few years because you have some good players. They have Ryan O'Reilly. I mean, their names are. They still have.
I've heard though, Tarasenko hasn't changed his mind though. Even though he had a great season last year and he was over a point per game and he was able to rebound from that shoulder surgery, there's talk that he hasn't rescinded his trade request. He still wants out.
Is it Berube?
Maybe, I don't know.
Issue? Berube's a tough guy. He was a tough guy in Toronto. He was a tough guy everywhere he went. Mm-hmm. Is it him, maybe? I don't know. They haven't really regressed, per se. I just find that they're kind of like the Washington Capitals.
They're stale.
Well, yeah, they've stagnated, right? Like this roster. I mean, if you look at their Barbashev, Bozak, Buchnevich, O'Reilly, of course, good old faithful as I call him, David Perron. Mister, I get 70 points and no one cares.
And no one
every year. It's unreal. This guy, David Perron, you go if you want any pool advice, anybody, as long as the guy's healthy, he'll get you goals. He'll get you assists. I always get points from him. Always. I always choose him.
60 to 70 points a year. 60 to 70 points.
Quiet. Like super quiet. Nobody pays attention to him. And I don't know why. Brandon Saad, Senko. So, I mean, their forwards are Jordan Kyrou. Like
Kyrou's very good. Jim Neighbors is supposed to be a very good prospect.
Did you say Jim Neighbors?
Yes.
Okay, because there's a famous singer named Jim Neighbors. I don't know if it's spelled the same, but anyway.
And they
Jim
just
Neighbors?
drafted this guy, Jimmy Snuggerud.
Oh, they picked up Jimmy Snuggerud. It's kind of funny that there's a Jim Neighbors and a Robert Thomas on the same team. Two singers. Like, I love it. I love when that happens. Yeah, so you got Justin Falk, you got great Torrey Krug, but Torrey Krug's not hurt. He was Nick Leddy.
D-man. No, but Krug is one of their key defensemen. They signed Krug long term.
Well, he's their star. Like him and Parenko are their two kings, eh?
Justin
and Falk's
Falk is
right
there too,
beside
right?
there. He's right beside them. He's just as good. Even Nick Leddy's nothing to laugh about.
I have always liked Nick Leddy. He is one of the best skating defensemen I've ever seen, and he doesn't get enough credit.
I thought he was going to be TJ Brody's other option, as in if they didn't go for Brody, they were going to get Leddy in Toronto. I thought that's who they were going to go for, but for whatever reason, I just thought maybe they go after him. They didn't. They picked up Brody, which I'm perfectly happy with because Brody's one of the, as far as I'm concerned, one of the, if not the best free agent signings that Dubas has done in his career is TJ Brody. That man has solidified Toronto's defense. He's so good.
I find it funny with Leddy too because of how good he is and how many teams has he been on. Like I don't get how a guy
Islanders,
like that can
Blues.
He was drafted by Minnesota, and he was on Chicago.
See, you forgot that he was with the Minnesota Wild.
Yeah, and he won the Cup with Chicago.
Well, he's got Chicago, so he's got Chicago, 4 seasons there, 7 seasons with the Islanders, 1 season with Detroit. And now 1 season with St. Louis.
So he never actually played for Minnesota, even though he was drafted by them?
No. He never played. No, according to the NHL.
A guy like that, you don't really see a guy like that moving that much.
The way for 16th overall.
He's a top 4 defenseman too. He's a top 4D. You don't move a top 4D that much, do you?
He went first round, 16th overall.
Yeah.
Something went wrong. Or the management was incompetent and chose not to keep him for whatever reason. That does happen.
Also, he also could
happens.
Under
well,
sometimes those guys become like their value is so good that you have to move them sometimes too.
Well, I'm looking at his statistics here, and I mean his overall statistics as a player. I mean, the guy is nothing to dazzle about. 68 goals, 360 points. This is great. Minus 60. That's a problem. You're a defenseman. You're supposed to be plus 60, not minus 60. Anyway, either he was on a lot of bad teams.
Is it a bad team?
Or is he the one? His career stats, just to go quick, who's next here? We have, just to go after that, everybody. Minnesota's next at 24. Then it's Toronto. Then it's Toronto. Okay. Then it's the Maple Leafs. So we'll talk about them in a minute.
And then it's Montreal again.
Yeah, then it's Montreal. They draft right after us.
By the way, I was reading a tweet, and they were saying that there was a tweet that came out that apparently Brisebois and Hughes were having a little conversation at the Habs table.
Sure. Okay.
Keep an eye on, from Kevin Weeks, he tweeted, keep an eye on. I'm told several clubs expressing interest in Jake Allen right now. Among some interested, Washington, Edmonton, New Jersey, plus.
Oh, Montreal's not done trading. They're not done trading at all. No way. Absolutely not. So just go ahead.
Hearing Leafs are trading Mrazek to the Blackhawks. Believe it also involves the number. This is from Frank Saravalli, by the way. Believe it also involves the number 25 pick and Mrazek for for the number 38 pick. So they're moving
Toronto
down.
Will go down. Is that rumor or that's going to happen?
It'll
happen when Toronto
is at the moment.
So if Toronto,
maybe it'll be announced when they're picking.
But here's the deal, Toronto. So just let me finish up Nick Leddy, and then we'll go into that. So in Nick Leddy's case, he's on bad teams for his numbers. So he had a minus 42 with the Islanders and a minus 33 with Detroit. Those are the only real blight on his whole team record. overall, he's a relatively a plus player. He's had -9, but he's had some plus. Anyway, bad team. Pretty sure it was a bad team. But anyway, that's Nick Leddy just to finish that up. But
Yes.
anyway, Toronto moving down, that's a Dubas move. He does that all the time. He did it every draft.
That
he
was
does it.
that's
He
what Frank
does it.
Saravalli tweeted. Also, here's the thing. Not only did Saravalli tweet that, you want to hear more. Another very, very good source of Elliot Friedman is saying Kazian to Arizona, it's looking like, and looking also like Mrazek to Chicago. So there's some where there's heat, where there's smoke, there's fire.
Well, they're talking because it's about to pick, right? And they'll make a trade. If Toronto moves to the second round, they don't have a second round. Okay. You have to remember, they don't have a second round pick. They gave it up for Giordano.
Anything between now and 38 could be second
It's all the
round
same.
material, could be first.
Wow.
Yes.
It's like when they moved. Well, it's like when they moved for Anderson. Okay. They had Anderson. They moved him. They got him. They gave the first round pick of that year, but it was like a 27th pick. So it was more like a second round almost. He was practically in the second round. And they moved another choice. I think it was 2 choices for him. Lamoriello did it. Anyway, but that's what he does. So if Dubas does that, that's a very Lamoriello style move, which is where he learned it from.
Yeah.
Because he always trades down. I find Dubas likes to make his draft picks more. He does his firsts, but he also really he seems to hit in the second and thirds a lot.
Oh, that's a good pickup for Minnesota for the next pick, for their pick.
What's their
Danila
choice?
Danila Yurov. He was ranked 11th, by the way, and dropped 24.
Right. Okay.
He's a right wing. And he made his KHL debut at 16 years old.
Wow. So he's going to be a potential phenom. This guy might be the diamond in the rough out of the draft.
He's compared to Marian Hossa.
Hossa? That's high praise, man.
Yeah. Well, you don't, and he's also the second youngest player to score in the KHL. He didn't just debut; he scored.
Yeah, he's good.
He's got some talent.
You know what? So there's something else we could do for a show. So if anybody's interested, that's something else we could do. Diamonds in the rough kind of thing with
trade from Bettman.
Here we go. That would be Toronto. Toronto making a trade.
So Saravalli was dead on.
So Mrazek's gone? Is Mrazek gone? What happened?
I saw one Leaf fan of the crowd. So happy.
They got rid of that albatross, the whole thing. Like, didn't even take any money back. Wow.
They just had to drop in the draft.
They just had to eat a draft pick and basically drop what? Less than 10 spots? Wow.
They just opened up. You just opened up $3.5 million.
Love it. See? The guy, he can make the moves. He knows what he's doing. And I knew Mrazek would go to Chicago in a way because Chicago has no goaltending. Now that Fleury's
they're showing
gone,
that Leaf fan again, and he is so happy. He's surrounded by Habs fans, and he's just cheering, and they're all watching him and smiling.
It's news that warms the hearts of Leaf Nation. So I have a friend here, just so you know. My friend Frost has come back. So if anybody hears dogs barking, just be aware, but it's all good. And look at that, your friend decided to show up too.
Yep. She wants attention. I think she's bored.
Oh, I'm sure she is. But I have to say...
yours came to say hello because he just got home, eh?
Yes, he just got back. Yeah, that's right. Frost just got back.
So he was like, hey, I got to go see my buddy.
Yeah, absolutely. So Mrazek is gone. Wow, that is... So I just had the same kind of news that you had earlier. So you know what? That is great GMing. You got rid of...
Yes.
You got rid of
you opened up space to get yourself a proper goaltender because now Shalgren can play backup.
Well, that's the guy that needs to be backup.
I was terrified. You guys are going to be like, no, we're going to throw Shalgren into the fire. That would be the biggest mistake. But the way Dubas has been doing it, that's what he's been doing. But I think he's finally realized it doesn't work.
But here's the deal. You have to remember, Shelgren is actually their 5th, I think, on their ranking system. They have goalies ahead of him, and they chose him, and they ended up playing him for what, 20 some games, and he wasn't half bad. He had a 910 plus save percentage. He won a number of games. So, you know,
But how many out of those guys? How many of them are currently in the AHL? Are any of those in that ranking system? Because the AHL goalies could there's no way Hutch is in that ranking.
no, Rutch.
That's what I mean. Like
Let's be honest. Hutch,
some of those prospects could be overseas right now, or could be in the AHL or sorry, juniors. I mean,
that is phenomenal. Sorry, the news is just processing right now. That is just great news. I'm so happy to hear that. That's 3.8 million gone, and that's over another year. So he didn't have to buy him out. He didn't have to do any of that nonsense. He just gone, cleaned
that's
it
actually
right
better
off.
because the money's off the books. You were thinking buyout more than trade because you didn't know if you could move that thing.
Who could move him? Like, honestly,
Chicago's at the podium.
Okay, so now let's see who they choose. I bet you it's going to be a centerman.
Well, this new young GM is definitely putting a stamp on his. He's also making his first draft very legendary, as you could say. Like this is like for Hughes and a couple of these new GMs. This could be defining of what people expect from you.
Yes. Wow, you're charting the team's course for the next decade. Yeah, this is serious stuff.
Sam Rinzel. Never heard of this kid. He's from a high school academy, like a hockey academy.
Wow.
Another D-man.
So the defenseman. I was going to pick a center.
Yeah, he's at a high school. That's very rare.
Wow, that is impressive. Good. I am so happy, dude. You have no idea how happy I am to get rid of that money. I'm sorry. They signed Mrazek. That was the biggest blight on Dubas's record as a GM. He knows he made a boo-boo signing him. I mean, nothing. You and I talked about it when the signing happened, and you asked me, you said, do you think it was a good signing? And I was so lukewarm about it. I wasn't even cold about the idea because I said, I don't think he's the right guy because he's always injured. I mean, the night there that they got beat by their own 42-year-old guy, Mr. Ayers, the most craziest game ever in history. Because
best goalie of all time should be in the Hall of Fame.
I don't even know what to say to that game. But
what
anyway,
a gong show! What a gong show!
Well, they had an interview. I'll come back to that. I'll come back to what I was getting to the point. But anyway, they had an interview with him, but not with him, but with it was in the Amazon series, and they said, "What was your whole take on that?" And he goes, "Well, we had no choice. We were sunk no matter how the outcome was going to go. Either we pulverize this guy at 42 years old and win the game, but we
make him look
right. We embarrass our own employee, or we let him win, which is exactly what happened. But Toronto threw the first shot at him from what, 3/4 of the way down the ice, and he almost let it in. So I mean, when that happened, I'm pretty sure the whole bench took a breath and like, oh boy, this is going to be a tough third period for this guy. So I think they told them to hold back. Anyway, but the fact that they signed Mrazek, he got injured even that year. He was injured when he was in Carolina. He was part of that game. That's what I was getting at. So why you sign him to a 3-year deal? And he was so erratic watching him. I can't stand. I mean, I thought Dominic Hasek was erratic with his goaltending. This guy was worse. He didn't even know where his posts were. Like, dude, pay attention to where. That's what Dangle said. Shout out to Dangle again. That's what he said. He goes, know where your posts are. Like, Stay in the net. Stay.
Didn't he talk
You
about
know?
that? Didn't he talk about that one where? Oh no, that was with Colorado with like the goalie not knowing where he was.
Ah, it's just mental, man. It's just crazy. Like, stay in your net. Why do you venture out? That's how he gets hurt all the time. He'll venture out. He'll either pull his groin or get smashed by a defenseman.
Knee to the head or something.
Knee to the head or something because he always goes out.
Habs are up. Habs are up.
All right, Habs it is. So we had some Toronto news.
There's three options. I'm thinking it's Lambert, Luneau, or Noah Warren. Noah Warren is another big defenseman.
How do you spell Luneau? I'm curious.
Luneao. Or
Okay.
EAU, sorry. Luneau, sorry. It's like Luneau.
Okay.
Luneau.
Oh, we'll see. Let's see which guy they choose.
Or did they move it? Like I said, there was talk that Friedman or Dave Pagnotta said he saw Tampa and Habs discussing at the Habs table.
Well, hold on, we'll see. This is the part where anybody who's like, I know everybody, whoever's watching, if there is anyone watching.
Interesting.
Sure.
He's sitting down, like very calm, like not doing anything. I wonder if there's a deal.
There's got to be a deal. He's not moving. He's got a deal. Be interesting to see what happens to him. Cool.
So this high school pick from Chicago, Sam Rinzel, had 38 points in 27 games. He's a defenseman. So he really stood out wherever he played in that high school.
So he's a defenseman. So we moved a goalie for a defenseman.
Basically.
Whatever. It's gone. The money's gone, man. So as of right now, Toronto has no goaltending. Absolutely no goaltending. And they're not getting Marc-Andre Fleury because he signed today with Minnesota for 2 more years.
All they have is Shelgren. Well, maybe the plan is Husso. Like I said.
Husso or Campbell. It's either Campbell or Husso.
Maybe it's Kemper now because he's available.
I like Kemper.
They just moved out an extra $3 million. That's $7 million right now.
Almost four.
Yeah, but they now have about $7 or $8 million to spend on a goalie.
A proper goalie. Get a goalie that will not need to be coddled or whatever his injury was last year.
Don't sign a goalie who's looking to rebound. Sign a goalie who showed he could play.
They had a goalie. They let him go.
Yes.
Anyway.
Well, I don't think he wanted to stay. Like, as I told you before, I think he was very angry with management. I think he was very angry with teammates, and he wanted out. He was done.
There was chatter because he was the one that said that saying.
Yeah. And
no one's taking it seriously, or there's chatter that he was the guy that said that.
Yeah. And you know what? I don't blame a guy who every game showed up and bled for your team.
Yes.
And nobody played for him. Nobody.
Yeah. That year it was sad. Too bad too. It was a good team.
Okay, so Montreal's coming up to pick now.
So they are going to choose.
So they must have been thinking about what it is.
No, that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that either.
Nope. All right, let's hear this one.
What do we have? Montreal chooses, as I said, pardon the dogs, but they're happy to be home.
It's Martin Lapointe.
Marty Lapointe. I like Marty Lapointe.
Me too.
Philip Major? Philip Major? Is that what I heard?
Mazzaro, I think. What's with the? That's a lot of Slovakians. Philip Mazar.
Philip Mazar. Okay, Philip Mazar.
This one.
Okay.
Good job there. Punch the puck ahead. Get it out of everyone's way. Okay, I can do it on the backhand too. My skill set, my hands allow me to do just about everything. And again, one of the backhand, really confident there, thinking a little bit about Sydney.
I know nothing about this kid.
Let's have a look at him. Take a quick peek at him.
Which is exactly where he ends up. Because he's got a buddy who went a little earlier.
Okay, here he is. So here's Philip Bizarre. You said you don't know anything about him. Let's have a look. 5'10", 174. So he's a little light on the weight. 18, of course, from Slovakia. He was ranked all over the map from 17
Well,
to 30,
his final
59.
ranking was 25, and he went 26.
So he's right where Mackenzie thought. Okay.
Yeah.
So here's his numbers. Clearly a depth player. He's not a shiny player. He's got some scoring earlier in his career, but 26 goals, 23.
Do you know who coaches him in Slovakia?
No.
Craig Ramsey.
Oh, this is Ramsey's team?
Yeah.
But he got six games. He got 4 points in the playoffs. So it's nothing to...
His favorite player is McKinnon, and he models his game after Marner.
So you're going to have a speedy winger.
A playmaker, speedy playmaker.
Yeah, he's going to drive the line. That's what he's supposed to. That'll be the idea. Let me there. Okay, there you go. Not bad. So you've now collected. You have Kirby Dach. So let's recap Montreal. Kirby Dach. You got this guy.
Juraj Slavkovsky and Philip Mézard.
Yeah. So you've got a centerman, a winger, a power winger, a centerman, and
a playmaking
winger center, and you gave up Romanov, a second, and a
2 seconds and a first.
2 seconds and a first, and Romanov for all that.
3 players for 3 players.
So what do you think? Okay, so now that your team's done and my team's done for the night, because I'm not going to see anything else.
I don't see any. There's only 5 picks left.
Yeah, well, San Jose's up next. So
I'm quite happy with everything. The only thing I'm very curious now, because Montreal moved an actual NHL left-hand defenseman. So that tells me that they plan to do something else, because, as I said to you many times, and Hughes has said he doesn't want to play more than one rookie at a time.
I mentioned that earlier.
This season.
Yes. Right.
So there has to be another deal somewhere. There has to be. It kind of hurts me to see Romanov go, because I loved watching him throw body checks. I think he's one of the best hitters in the league.
Right.
But it depends what their want. Maybe he wanted too much money. Maybe they couldn't come to terms. I have no idea what happened. But here's the thing: Romanov also is from the old guard, so it's moving Romanov is okay for Hughes because it's not one of his guys.
Interesting. Yeah. I mean, your team is, like I said, in flux. So your GM is all over the map. He's working the phone steady. So he's trying to figure out what path, do you see a clear path with your team? Do you see kind of a plan forming, or is it just too early? Because it's just right at the beginning.
I think it's too early because we still have too many contracts that we need to get rid of.
That's fair. I believe
it's hard to judge when you don't have the cap space and you have these contracts that moving them is going to be the hardest thing on the planet. Like Gallagher, $6 million for 6 years, or Price. Price has no move clause, so you're literally, unless he's on IR, you are strapped. There's nothing you could do about that money.
No. Unfortunately for your team, that contract
Yoel Armia's $4 million is too much.
Yeah. Well, this is the thing. Now we can kind of, yeah.
That 10.5 is awful for our team. Just awful. I don't know. You got to get creative. That's all I know. But when guys have no move clauses, it's very difficult.
But you have to approach them, right?
Mm-hmm. But Hughes is an agent. He might be able to persuade.
I believe that too. I think so. Here's my take with that. as a guy who saw the rebuild of my team and all that. I mean, I've said before, your team's gonna be in flux, all that stuff. So the thing is too, is that Montreal, like, does it just depends on what Hughes wants from a team? Is it a team that's speed? Is it a team that has speed and size? Is it a team that's all skill? Is it a kind of a mixed bag of everything? Like, I don't know. Like, your players they chose today are a little all over the map. And
Well, from what Hughes said, it's about getting faster and it's about skating. That's the biggest things he's looking for. So I'm assuming Slavkovsky and Doc and Mejar must be great skaters. Because the other thing is with Hughes, it's very interesting that our 2 first-round picks were Europeans when he is a very, very well-known person in the United States, in the Boston area, especially with coaching all these U.S. development team kids. He has a huge hand in knowing all the the American prospects. I expected Habs to draft more Americans, to be honest, just because he knows so much about them. But he didn't go that way, so it's quite interesting.
That's what I mean. You're getting to know your general manager. You're getting to see how he operates because he's never been a GM before, right? So he's basically learning the job as he goes, which can be a good thing and it could be a bad thing. It just depends on how you do it.
But he seems very confident when he does things. I love the way he speaks. I love his confidence.
Does, and I've watched him speak a couple times. You can clearly tell he's been in this business a long time. He's been in the business a long time.
One thing Hughes said was what was it? One of the things I love what he said was he was talking about what was it? Sorry, my train of thought just disappeared again. Okay. Hughes was talking about what were we talking about just a second ago? Sorry.
We were talking about how we were talking about how Hughes is, and we said we're going to get to know how he goes and what kind of team he's got.
Oh yes.
So you were saying something in regards to him, like about him per se.
Yes. One thing he said that why did I lose my train of thought completely? Sorry about that. Hughes was saying that oh my gosh, it's making me mad that I can't remember. Sorry, guys. There's just so much going through my head, I couldn't remember.
Sorry about that.
Sorry, but okay.
No, you dropped my. I accidentally hit the X button. Sorry about that. If anybody's watching.
No problem.
Hey, what were you saying about Hughes?
Okay, so Hughes, when he talked, one of the things he said was they aren't just going to trade just to trade. It's about getting better. It's about doing everything the right way. When it comes to drafting, one thing that the reason, like I said, I was surprised he hasn't drafted American players. He did say one of the biggest things he said was familiarity is a big thing, and we will probably draft more in familiarity. But drafting 2 Slovaks, there's no familiarity there.
That's why I'm not convinced by all these things that you read that sometimes it's all accurate. Mm-hmm. I think these guys they put out stories. It's fine, and some of the stories are accurate, but a lot of the time they're not. And I don't really think anyone has a pulse for what this guy's really going to do just yet. He's still too new at the job, and this is just my thoughts about him. I think he's going to do a great job with Montreal because he has Jeff Gorton in the back. Because we all know he's the architect, not necessarily Hughes per se. These are Jeff Gorton moves. And Jeff Gorton, again, picked a European like he did in New York. It's the same thing. He picked all Europeans. He didn't pick any.
Kratsov.
If you're looking for, if all Montreal, I'm going to say, if any Habs fans want a blueprint, look at the Rangers.
The kid that they traded to the Rangers, Elias Anderson, another one. Yep. Those are 3 of his draft picks.
He likes European players. He feels that they give more.
His head scout has always been Nick Bobrov.
And there's another thing too, and I'm going to say, I'll get to that in a second. Go ahead. Sorry.
And like for the Habs right now, Nick Bobrov and Martin Lapointe are the head of the scouting department. Nick Bobrov is the head of the European side, and Lapointe's head of the North American side.
Here's my idea too. Now, it's going to be a little off board here, but the Raptors, when they used to choose players, they seem to have chosen players from Europe and Africa because most of the time, a lot of American players refuse to go to Canada. Okay? I have a feeling that Jeff Gorton likes to choose European players because New York City is one of the largest cities in the world, and Montreal is one of the largest European cities in North America. It's a very European-based city. There's a lot of familiarity, and Quebec City down the road. And I have a feeling,
Old Montreal.
Yes.
If you ever been to Old Montreal, it literally looks like some places
France.
in Europe. I was in Turkey, and there's some streets that look like it's Turkey with their what is it? What are those like bricks that they put in the ground? Like they have roads. Yeah, cobblestone roads.
Cobblestone roads.
The cobblestone road. That's so European. That is so European.
So Montreal's preserved all that over the decades and centuries. They've protected that stuff, and they've made it part of their city. Anyway, what I'm getting at is that maybe European players would rather play in Montreal because of the fact that it reminds them of home. It has maybe more of a familiarity of Europe, just like Toronto is more multicultural than maybe say that, where American players in the NBA don't want to go there. That's just a thought. I don't know if that's right or not, because, I mean, Kawhi went home. I mean, that happened. But in the NHL, maybe that's a factor too, with maybe Gorton and Hughes talked about it. Again, it's speculation on our part as part of this podcast and live feed. But anyway, I think that might be a factor here. And he picked all Europeans.
Europeans in Montreal have always been welcome. Over the years,
welcome?
Some of the best. Over the years, they've had so many good Europeans. Like, for example, back in the 80s, he only played a couple seasons, then he went back to Sweden because he said the NHL is too rough. I can't handle this. Well, Mats Naslund. Mats Naslund had a 40-goal season. You move ahead, Saku Koivu. Everyone loves Saku Koivu. Ask any Habs fan that ever saw him play; they love Saku Koivu.
Even non-Habs fans, Saku Koivu was a respected player around the league. The man fought stomach cancer, beat it, and then played for the Habs for a number of years later. And they was their and he was your captain. So
a 10-year cap.
Right, he was a decade-old captain. So I mean, and he fought that off. So
and then
you have
Thomas Plekanec. Plekanec, everybody loved. Even you loved him. He played for you.
Yes, he played for 30 games and gave Toronto some life in that playoff. And he was a guy I underestimated. I can freely admit that I did not know Thomas Plekanec at all, and I didn't have high hope. I didn't know as well enough to say. I can say that I always stand corrected right here on the podcast. Thomas Plekanec was one of the nicest centermen I've ever watched play.
And
he was so good.
I told you.
I know you told me. You're a Habs fan. You should tell me.
Yeah, no, but I said,
he'd play.
They use him right, he will be very effective for you guys. And
he was.
When they did, as soon as that Kadri incident happened, he moved up in the lineup where he was supposed to be, and look what he did.
He won a game for us. One of the games, 3 or 4, I forget.
He scored like 4 points in 2 games after that, right away, like boom, boom. But in that game they won, I think he had 3 points.
3 points, and he was a very good penalty killer.
Yeah.
So back to
I was saying, like, and then you have Markov, and then you have we just moved him, Arturi Lehkonen. Every Hab fan loved Lehkonen and what he brought.
The proof is there. Montreal Canadians like European players, and European players will probably sign with Montreal easier than say other players. So
and they usually do too.
Yeah.
Thomas Tatar. We like Tatar.
So, yeah, Tatar's been very good for Montreal at the time. So there's been 2 picks since Montreal's choice. So looks like San Jose picked Philip Bystead, who's a centerman.
Bystead or something?
Bystead. I'm not sure. Yeah, it's definitely not
Buffalo
European. It's European.
Buffalo
Kulich?
picked the captain of the Czech junior U18 team, Kulich.
Yuri Kulich?
Yeah, he
Another
captained their
centerman.
Czech. He captained the
From
Czech team.
It's Florida's pick. That's Florida's former pick, and it went to Buffalo. I forget who the draft was or the trade was, but
Was that the trade for Reinhard?
yes, Sam Reinhard. Yeah,
Yes, or Sam Bennett or whatever. No, Reinhard. Bennett
Reinhard.
went from Calgary
That's right.
because they got Reinhard and Bennett. They got two Sams that
Yeah,
same day.
that was a trade 2 years ago, kind of thing, right? This
Yeah,
weekend.
remember that. That was last year's deadline when Florida was
last
adding
year's
a few
deadline.
pieces.
So we have the Oilers, Winnipeg, Tampa, and Arizona left. So there's 4 picks left, everyone. So we will finish. I want to finish the draft, obviously. Start, and then we'll be.
They always
Then
put
we'll.
the fun facts beside the player after they're drafted. I'm pretty sure those are the weird questions that are asked.
Oh,
Like
I
one of
have
them
no
is like,
doubt.
one of them was like, if you were an animal, which one you would be, and it was lion.
Yeah, yeah, that's standard questions. Yeah, it's to get your personality right. So okay, so we'll finish that up. So we're gonna have 4. So everyone, whoever's watching, we're gonna have 4 picks left. We're gonna do a quick wrap up of our teams, Montreal and Toronto, and then we'll close out the show. And then these will be posted on, as I said earlier, on Spotify. They will be posted on Anchor, which is owner of Spotify owns it, but we post something as podcasts audio only. And then this, of course, will be going on YouTube along with the episode we already recorded earlier tonight. So all of that will be posted within the next few days. So I hope everybody keeps an eye on that and willing to watch. That'd be great. I mean, whoever's watched this will know, but it's been a fun time. I can't wait to do more of these. I mean,
I'm enjoying it, and even,
response
like I said,
has been great.
Like
the support's been great.
like you said too. If people aren't watching, that's fine. We're doing it for us. It's not for people.
Well, I'm doing it for the viewers, and I'm doing it for us too.
Yeah,
We're doing,
no, I know, but mainly
right?
to start, it's for us. The viewers will come, but it's for
Yeah,
us. We wanted to do this.
Yes, we did, and we're doing it, and we're making it happen, and I'm enjoying this very much. Like I said, so now we have Edmonton, 29th pick. Who are they choosing? Did they choose yet?
Oh, it's too late. I was gonna take a picture of Holland.
I'm gonna draft a forward.
No,
We need another forward.
It almost looked like a scene from like a comedy movie, like Airplane or something. He was sitting there, and you could see the sweat glowing on him, and his face was all glowy. But it looked like he was like holding back, crying.
Poor Holland. Poor Kenny Holland. Oh man, the guy's got like the hardest job he's the hardest job in the NHL. I gotta say that it's got probably the hardest job in the NHL because there's so much pressure because you have the best players. Because you have the best player in the NHL and the second best player, or one of, what do you do with the Edmonton Oilers? Like, the Oilers have been a perennial team that have had these colossal mistakes made with it looked good on paper. You had 4 first rounds in a row. Yet the team, like this year, they did a better year this year than they did previous years, but their goaltending has always been suspect. Their defense has been suspect. It's been always offense only. Like,
they paid Darnell Nurse $9.5 million.
There you go. Like right there.
Did he? Honestly, like for example, Romanov. If he's $9.5 million, Romanov's $8. Like, come on, man.
I mean, I like Darnell Nurse, but I don't.
But what has he
$9
done
and a bit?
What has he done to earn more than $4.5?
But this is what happens, right? We've talked about this before. This is what happens. You get a guy like Darnell Nurse, who's like this watershed contract that will basically level the playing field for all the other players, right? Now you're going to have players that are going to ask for that kind of money who don't deserve it or shouldn't get it, but they do because, oh, well, he's a comparable. Well, no, he's not. He's not a comparable. And Edmonton has some questionable contracts. I mean, between Leon and McJesus, I mean, I could say that. That's who he is. He's an amazing player. But between Connor McDavid and him, really, like, they have hardly. I mean, Hyman. Well, they paid 5.7 for Hyman, Sure, he had a decent game, but he was on with the best 2 players in the league. Or,
Well, here's the biggest
I don't
problem.
know.
My biggest problem with them is you got all these nobody there wants to be there because they want to be there. They're all there for the money. Like
Oh yeah,
when no, but for example, McDavid is not a team player in my opinion at all, because when he went to do his contract, he was trying to get to 5 years and get out. And they said, no, we want to keep you longer. And he said, if you're going to keep me longer, I want to get paid. He didn't care. And when you take $13 million, that tells me what type of person you are. Because when you go to Colorado and you look at Nathan McKinnon, he could have gotten 8 to 9 million when he was up, and he took 6 because he wanted to be competitive and he wanted to win. So that there tells me they have no love loss there's no love on that team. They're there for the dollars, and they're going to run away as soon as those dollars are done.
That's fair.
That is not a team. That is not a team that wants to be a team.
Edmonton traded their pick, by the way. The Arizona Coyotes got it. I just don't know who they traded for.
Yeah, I missed that. Hang on. My phone might tell me.
Your phone probably will tell you. Anyway, so Edmonton moved their pick to the Arizona Coyotes. We're going to find out where it went, like what position. They're probably not far. My guess, they're moving down by 5 spots.
I think it was Kassian. I think it had to do with Kassian.
Did they move Kassian?
I think so. Hang on.
They said they were going to move him.
So
they wanted him gone.
Well, I would want him gone too. I actually, he played so long in Montreal, it didn't even last a game.
Kassian. Kemper's going to hit. I'm going to lay money right here, right now. I think Darcy Kemper's going to be the Leafs goalie. Watch. I bet you he'll be the goalie. I bet you they'll pick him up for under 5. They'll pick him up for about the same money as Mrazek.
They want him?
Well, we talked about his stats. He doesn't have bad stats. They're good stats. The only knock on him is he gets injured a lot. But we all know many goalies do now. I mean, your goalie's injured. Campbell was injured. I mean, the difference is that Campbell was always you're always on edge that he's going to get injured. Mrazek gets injured.
Goalies can't play 70 games anymore.
Well, they shouldn't.
So Oilers traded.
Who did they trade?
The Oilers. For the trade, so it was Kassian, their first pick, plus second, third picks to air. Wow. Plus a future consideration and 2 second and third picks.
So they gave up 3 picks? 3 picks in Kassian? 4 picks in Kassian?
Kassian,
come on.
3 picks and a future consideration
for what?
The 32nd pick. The 32nd pick. Just the dub salary. But you know what? I understand. I wouldn't want Kassian either.
Okay, let's level the playing field here. Toronto just traded their first draft choice, dropped down 25 to 36, 38?
38.
25, 38,
so 13
10 spots? 13 spots? They moved down 13 spots and picked up a second in the process, and they moved a goaltender they don't want. For nothing. They didn't take any money back.
Wow. Had to give away all their draft picks.
I think they overplayed there a little bit. Good job, Arizona.
Maybe that's why Kenny Holland looked like he was sweating and ready to cry.
Well, that would make sense because he just.
I just thought of that.
Well, why would you make a deal like that? Okay, sure. And who'd they pick up? Who did Arizona draft? I think I got one here. So I think it's
Maverick Lamoureux.
Maverick Lamoureux, a name of Cornwall. It's a famous name, Lamoureux. But anyway,
I wonder, is he American kid, and is he one of the Lamoureux twins' sons? Remember the Lamoureux for the U.S.?
Well, Maverick is a name. Well, it could be anywhere, but I mean Maverick.
Mm-hmm. But do you remember? Yeah, there was 2 girls. Do you remember the USA twins, the Lamoureux?
No, this is a Canadian kid from Drummondville.
Okay.
Or not Drummondville. Plays for Drummondville.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry, I'm looking up at elite prospects here.
Yeah.
And
Oh, all good. That's why I asked so you can check it up.
You want to hear this? Get this. 18 years old, defenseman. Guess how tall this person is? Take a guess.
6'8".
6'7".
6'8"?
6'7".
6'7". Okay, that's the kid they were talking about. That he actually is. He skates better than Chara. They said like he's a better
And he's
skater than Chara.
You know why?
Kid. And he's
Because
6'7".
100. Because he's 198 pounds. That's why. He's light.
How can you be that tall at 180 pounds? You must be able to hide behind a post if you go sideways.
He's a beanpole. He's a lightweight.
I need to hide. Where'd he go?
There's such thing as a skinny mountain. Wow. 6'7", 198. The thing is that he's so tall that no one can hit him.
Fast his body. Yeah. Well, he also probably stretched so fast. That's why his weight couldn't keep up.
Well, that's the other thing. He got put.
Being 6'7".
He's basically got put into a stretching machine, right? And 18. That's when you
the,
grow.
That's
18. That's huge, man.
That's Stretch Armstrong, the human version.
He played for Hawkesbury. He
Nice.
played for the Hawkesbury Hawks in 2018, 2019. That's cool. A localish team. Jonquière. Then he played for the Jonquière Elite, and then he went to went and played in Drummondville for 3 years. And okay, well, his last year wasn't very good for this plus minus, but the rest of them were decent. It's gonna be a decent.
Could have been a bad team though too.
Oh, yeah. Oh, no doubt. Maverick Drummond. Let's see who he's born with. He's born from
Maverick Lamoureux.
Good for him.
He knows Bob Hartley from Drummondville.
Well, Drummondville and the Hawkesbury. He hasn't coached them in years, but I mean, yeah.
No, but
yeah,
he knew
Drummondville, yeah. Oh yeah, Bob Hartley. Hey, Bob Hartley has a lot of influence in the league still. Okay. Guy still has a lot.
He coaches in Decay, but he could easily get a job in the NHL any day, I'm sure.
Well, honestly, I still think Bob Hartley is a builder more than a coach. I think he's an actual builder. I think he's an NGM in the making. I don't think he wants the job, but he would be an actually good GM. He would. He knows the hockey. Well, he knows the game. He understands it. I think. But anyway.
You don't stay in the game that long and not understand it.
That's right. And have the fire to do it. Jets are up. Oh, they moved it from New York. So
they must have traded when we weren't paying attention?
No, we were chatting about other stuff. But no, we weren't paying attention to that. But it's okay. We're almost done. We've only got 3 left. So the Winnipeg Jets clearly have somebody in mind. They're not going to go for a goalie, so I would assume they're going to go probably probably a winger, or maybe a third, bottom 6 guy. They don't have too many of those. We'll see what happens. So according to this, we had 3 shares on we got 3 shares on this. 18 comments on our first block of this. So I'd say it's pretty successful. I'm happy with that.
Mm-hmm. So they took Brad Lambert from Finland.
Brad Lambert, okay. What about so Brad Lambert, and who did they trade for? Did they now that pick they've already had, right? This was their pick from New York.
This is what did they? Yeah, that was the deal for Andrew Kopp.
Yeah, so Andrew Kopp, yes. So they picked Brad Lambert. He's a centerman. There you go, centerman. So forward. Okay, I thought maybe bottom 6 forward.
The first round centers. Is full of D and center. D and center. There was a couple wingers here and there, but D and center.
$11 centers so far out of
and
30
the funny
picks.
Thing is, out of those,
half.
Here's let's do an early poll, just for fun.
Sure.
Out of those 11 centers, how many will be centers? Do do
Yeah,
you
what do
think?
people think? What do people think? Everybody out there watching, what do you think? Do you think a lot of these would be centers? We're also looking at the
I
ideas
say
of bringing polls into our broadcasts and stuff. So to help
I say
have
4
engagement.
become regular centers, 4 maximum. The
4?
rest will be wingers.
I think 6 will be a little more. I think there's a few more that are pretty decent. I think 6 will be
Because that 200-foot game is so important today, and if you can't do it, you can't play center.
No. No, you can't.
So 2 picks left, and we're on a commercial break here, but 2 picks left.
So we'll do the 2 picks as I said. Just to go a little further, anyone watching, our audience, feel free to leave comments below once these are posted. We are looking for feedback. We do want to hear from people.
If
Because
negative and good, negative and good,
absolutely,
doesn't matter.
it's a wide open forum. Everyone, be honest. That's how we roll here. We enjoy that.
We could take a jab. We could take it. It's
Well, that's
part of
fine.
growing.
That's how we're going to grow this podcast. And this is again our first live event, so overall very successful, I think. The group that we had we put this towards is growing as well. So we're going to do those things and post. But yes, any feedback, good or bad, I'm all for it. Typhoon's all for it, as you said earlier. And we're going to enjoy making these, I think. I'm definitely going to put a lot of energy into this. This is going to be a cool hobby that we're going to do. And lots to talk about generally in sports, but tonight was mostly NHL because of obviously the news and the draft.
The draft day,
Trades.
we figured we were going to talk about other sports, but I even said it. I said we should really just scrap and stick to the NHL tonight because of draft day.
Yeah, there was too much news breaking at the moment. And what was happening, we were about to make just so everyone knows, when we were making our episode previously, earlier today, the news was breaking steady on the NHL. So we basically scrapped our original format and went to this. And I think it was a good idea because we were able to fill almost 4 hours worth of programming, which is pretty cool. And we hope everybody enjoyed. So the next team, by the way, is Tampa. They're up next.
Yeah. And just so everyone knows, when it comes to like negative and good feedback, I used to play competitive sports. I can handle it. I was yelled at. I was told I was good. I was told I was crap. It happens.
And being an IT professional, I mean both of us, but I used to sell IT for a living, so it's okay. We want the negative to help grow. That's it. And we want positive to help grow too. I'm not trying to say everyone put negative and that's it. I want the positive too, but
and just like any athlete or just like any coach will say, you don't learn from winning, you learn from losing. And negative is a way to learn from, to see what we did wrong.
And we want to thank everybody. We want to thank everybody for their support.
Don't be afraid. Yeah, we love the support, but don't be afraid to say something negative just to be nice because you're our friend or whatever. It's fine.
Anybody in the world watching this. So anybody who's going to be watching this. But anyway, it's been a great experience so far. I can't wait to do more of these live feeds. We're going to try to promote the channel as much as we can. So if you do see a lot of posts, just bear with us. That's just how it goes. And we're going to try to grow it. So with that, I think Tampa just chose. Yes, I have a feed here. It says Isaac Howard.
Isaac
Howard. Left
from the
winger.
U.S. Development League.
Yes, the U team again. So Isaac Howard. I just want to take a quick look at him. It's always nice to see the players.
He's a forward. I bet she's a center.
Winger. He's a winger. Oh, he's left wing. He's a left winger. But again, fits the mold. Fits the Tampa mold. 5'10", 181. Typical Tampa. Another Tyler Johnson. Another Palat. Another Point. They're all smaller-ish wingers. Point and Palat are not big boys. Now, here's the interesting thing about Tampa. Tampa just won 2 cups, and they went to the final 4 times now in a row. Do you anticipate a blow-up of this team? Do you anticipate a major loss or taking a step back? Or do you think they're going to try to keep everyone together?
I think the core is being stuck together. Like moving McDonough, yes, he was a big piece of that core, but moving McDonough was the money to keep Palat.
Yes,
and
that's
Palat
right.
is a big piece. And so if you're keeping Palat, that means you're not done and you're going heavy to go win again, especially signing Nick Paul for that 7-year contract. Wow, was he good for them in the playoffs. I can't get over it.
Ottawa must be so happy.
Like, he's a third. He was the last piece of the Spezza trade, by the way.
I know. That's why I said
what
Ottawa must be so happy.
What impressed me so much with him was they got him as a third liner. He finished the playoffs on the second line.
Yeah. Oh yeah. He moved up the ranks. He became a force. I mean, he was the one that sunk my team.
Those 2 goals in Game 7.
It was him. Nick Paul got both. I'm like, who's this guy? And sure enough, well, we saw who that guy was. But anyway, and he just got a sweet contract too. Like, was it 7 years? You told me, 21 million over 7 or something. Like,
21 million over. Yeah, the
yeah,
3 million
a year. 3 million, like, to live in Tampa, to be in Florida, tax-free state, for $3 million
signed his
bucks.
retirement.
Yeah, the guy could live there till whenever he's just and let's be honest. I mean, Nick Paul is not a household name a year ago, 6 months ago, and here he is, and now he's got a good deal. So now they fixed that. So Tampa picks up Isaac Howard, an American, and then now I believe, Arizona's the final pick. Everyone, final pick from Colorado. This is a Colorado draft choice.
Still just they're talking to Lambert. Edmonton is on the clock.
Edmonton's on the clock. They must have moved the trade then, because it's supposed to be Arizona.
Yeah, well, remember Arizona just got Kazian. Remember they traded Edmonton traded down.
No, but okay, so it obviously hasn't updated yet.
It didn't. Yeah, this was part. This Edmonton will be picking now. With this is part of the Kazian deal.
So my apologies. Edmonton is the last pick right now. Right? Yes, the 32nd. This is it. This is it for the first round. After this, first round will be concluded. So we'll see what Edmonton picks. You'll have to help me with that one because I don't see it here. So
yeah, no problem.
My pick is they're going to pick a forward. Another forward. We don't believe in defense. We're the Edmonton Oilers. We like forwards. More scoring. We win 9-8 every day. It's fine.
We play deep. Are you a forward? Okay, you'll play on the left D.
It's all defense. There's no defense. There's never any defense. It's always offense. We're going to pick a forward. I remember one day I was watching a draft a number of years ago when Chiarelli was the GM. Anyway, the guy asked him, I don't know if it was Rashad or if it was Elliot Freeman. I forget who the guy. And the guy looked at Chiarelli and said, well, with your choice coming up, who do you believe? There's so many defensemen available. Now, I'm paraphrasing, but there's a number of defensemen available on the board. Who do you feel? Basically alluding that your defense is not that good. Okay. In a nutshell, he was trying to tell him. He goes, yeah, well, I think we're just going to pick a forward. He said that right on live television. I'm like,
I
they
remember
were good defensemen.
Yes, I remember when they picked Evan Boucher.
I
believe
that.
Evan Boucher, I believe, was still Chiarelli. I think it was either Evan Boucher or a draft before that. Anyway, the year they picked him, or Philip Broberg maybe, but either way, it was Chiarelli still. They interviewed him after, and they were like, so you guys picked a defense. That's great. What are your thoughts? He literally said, I was going to pick a forward, but my scout yelled at me.
I think that was it. Okay, so what I just told you, add that to the story because that's actually the story. Yes. Because he was talking to one of the reporters, and that's what he said to him. He said, I was going to pick a forward, but I ended up going defense because my scout yelled at me. Or like,
my head scout yelled at me.
Well, because he's just good. That's all he did. They still do that. Even with Kenny Holland, it's the same thing. Anyway,
there's
what's
no
going on?
development in that organ. There's no development. They're coming up to pick the Oilers.
There should be development because that team should be a powerhouse.
Here's the thing. There's no development there because how many years in a row were they getting first before they actually changed the rule that you can only have 2 first picks in 5 years? It's because of Edmonton that rule came into play.
Well, they had
Uh,
four firsts in a row, and they end
so
up.
there was never any development there because those kids are in the NHL right away. And then when they started being better and drafting younger guys like Puljujarvi or Keeler Yamamoto, they're average. They're average because they
They
have
were
no
not
concept.
standouts. No standouts.
But no, but in their draft year, they were supposed to be these crazy good players, but they've become just average because there's no development in that organization. Zero.
It's true. Absolutely true. So who
So
did they
Oilers
choose?
pick Riley Schaefer,
Riley or Reed?
or Reed Schaefer.
Is
Sorry,
it Reed? Is Reed Schaefer? So some.
Yeah,
Reed Schaefer. Let's see what Reed Schaefer is.
he's a Western Hockey League kid.
Reed Schaefer. Here we go. He is from the Seattle Thunderbirds. He played for them in WHL. He is
They had a few kids go in the first round this year.
left winger, 6'3", 214. So he's a big boy, big winger. He's going to be a power forward, most likely.
Mm-hmm. He has a quick release too. They showed a few highlights of his shot and in tight. What a release!
So he's clearly, I mean, he's the last pick of the first round, but I mean, he's still going to be a player on the NHL. You're going to hear that name later, Schaefer. And his numbers are not like uber spectacular, but they're actually really good. So just to give you a quick rundown, everyone, it's 30 games, 24 points, 27 games, 23 points, 34 games, 24, 33, 16. So he had one down year. Everywhere else, but this guy hits and he gets penalties. He has 60 minutes, 20 minutes, 74, and 32 minutes of penalties, 14. So this guy likes to hit people.
His favorite team was the Golden Knights.
So that's probably the first time I've ever heard that at a draft.
Yeah, because they showed the things. His favorite actors, Will Ferrell, and his I can't remember the last one, but favorite team was the Golden Knights, which is surprising.
Really?
Since they're so shiny and new.
Interesting. Well, everyone, I have to say that concludes our coverage of the NHL Draft 2022.
Of round one, yes.
Of round one. And I want to thank Typhoon. Thanks very much for joining in and being with all the knowledge you have of the draft and all that. It's been very good. It's been fun, as we said earlier, a number of times. But I'm looking forward to these.
Thank you for having me, and I'm enjoying this. And like I said, I will do this even if there's no one there. I don't care. I'm doing it for me. No. I'm doing it for me. And later on, when the fans are there, it's for them.
Absolutely. And as we've said, the support's been great from everyone. So thank you very much, everyone. I'm going to end it here. And we will see you in the next video. Stay tuned for the episode and this to be posted the next few days, okay?
The next video will definitely be part there. The round 2 to 7 will be part of the roundup for the Habs picks and the Leaf picks. We'll talk a little bit about them and see what kind of kids we can find in those late rounds.
Yes, to see what kind of gems they ended up picking. In my team's case, there won't be too many because they only have 3 draft picks this year. So it won't be too much talking on my end.
We started the draft with 14. We started the draft with 14 picks. We traded 2 of them, so we have 12 left.
That's it? You sure you need more? You might get more. You guys could use some more. Why don't you go with 17 picks?
I'm going to be honest. I expect a couple more trades tomorrow because we have like we have like 4 fourth round picks, and they have like 3 third round picks still. So there's going to be some moves. You're not taking 4 kids in the 4th round.
100%, man. Agreed. All right. So with that, everybody, thanks again, Typhoon, and everyone. Thanks with that. Thanks for watching.
I was going to say quickly, it's also, you only have 50 contracts allotted. There's no way you could pick 14 players.
More trades are coming. People are going to be moving. So again, thanks again, everybody. Thanks for watching.
Have a good night, everyone.
Have a good night. We'll talk soon. Have a good night. Thank you.